everybody.
Hi!
I'm Marcayla, and I'm here to do American Sign Language ASL at the Cottonwood Public Library. We're going to start off with doing some refresher from last time, from a few months ago. So we'll start with the alphabets. We'll start with the letter A. So with the letter A, you're gonna make sure that the palm of your hand is facing away from you, and it's gonna be literally like a fist, and that is literally the first letter. Next one is gonna be B. It's gonna be your four fingers are gonna be up. Your thumb is gonna be in front of your palm, and then the letter C. You're gonna kind of tilt your hand so that the person that you're saying the letter to can kind of see the curve of your fingers. Then the next one is going to be D, where your palm once again is going to be facing away from you, with your fingers, except for your pointer, are going to make like an O, and then your pointer finger is going to be pointing up. Next letter is going to be E, and it's just basically your fingers being bent towards your palm. Next letter is going to be F. It is where all your middle finger, ring finger, and your baby finger are pointed up, and your pointer finger and your thumb are making like an O. And then G is going to be where your palm is facing you, and it's like you're pointing the opposite direction of your finger, or of your hand. And then H, and then I, it's like kind of like a lowercase I, and then J is quite literally making a J in the air. And then K, you're gonna tilt it sideways so you can see it's kind of like the top part of the K. And then L, quite literally like an uppercase L. And then M, and it's going to have all three of your first fingers over your thumb, and you're going to do it kind of loosely. You don't want to do it like this, because if you're signing fast, the person who's trying to read your lettering is not necessarily going to know if it's an M or an N. So you just want to do it kind of loose so that they know that three of your fingers are there to make an M. Your next one's going to be N. It's going to be very similar to M, but with two fingers over your thumb instead of three. Same thing, you want it loose instead of tight like this. And then your next one is O. You're going to, just like C, you're going to kind of bring it to the side, and it's quite literally an O shape. P is going to be like this. It's almost like a person walking. It's kind of like their legs walking, if that helps you to remember how to say P. And then Q is going to be like this. I'm going to tilt it again. It's going to be your thumb and your pointer pointing down. And then R is going to be your first finger and your middle finger twisted with each other. And then S is going to be like a fist. And then T is going to be your pointer finger over your thumb. U is going to be up and with your two pointer fingers up. V, W, X, Y, and Z. And then we're going to go through 1 through 10 for numbers. And with 1 through 4, you're going to make sure the palm of your hand is facing you. So it's going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when you get to 5, you're going to face your palm away from you, and it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And a good way to, where 9 and F are both the same. So if you notice, the hand shape is the exact same. So that's kind of a refresher on from last week as far as alphabet and numbers 1 through 10.
Miss Marcayla, I have
Yes.
a question. So, why does the palm have to be facing you? And, like, should it be always facing you when you're signing, or to the person who is seeing you sign to them?
It depends on what you're signing.
Okay.
So it can be, if depending on what it is, the palm's going to be either facing you or facing the person you're signing. So alphabet,
Like, for example, with the alphabet.
general rule of thumb, alphabet is going to be, the palm's going to be facing the person you're signing to. With the exception of a couple, like C and O are going to be kind of at a tilt.
Okay.
Where it's kind of facing in between. It's not really facing either of you. But in general, like the rest of the alphabet's going to be, the palm's going to be facing the person that you're signing to.
Okay.
And then like numbers, the first 4 palm's going to be facing yourself when you're signing. And then anything 5 and over are going to generally be facing the person that you're signing to. So, I mean, there's multiple reasons for it. Different signs require different faces or different ways of facing your palms. One sign could look the exact same, except the only difference is the face or the palm facing either you or me.
If you didn't know the proper ASL. Oh, okay, we're back. Sorry, guys, the signal cut out for a sec. And worst case, if you forgot how to sign the numbers, you could just count off everything as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Worst case scenario.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I learned. I was 41 years old today when I learned that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, and what's awesome too about sign language, it's kind of one of my favorite jokes, but it's an actual thing with sign language, is that I can count to 999 on just one hand. And whereas if in English you can only count to 10 with your fingers. So that's kind of one of my favorite ASL jokes, is because I can count to 999 on one hand, and those who don't know ASL can only do to 10 with both hands.
That's cool.
And then I can go to basically infinity with both hands. Do you have any other questions before we go on to?
No, I appreciate that. So that was a refresher. For those of you just tuning in or been following along, we're going to try to do our, as you know, programming right now is going to be virtual, and with this we will try to always have a refresher in the beginning, and we hope that as we do each session, you can let us know beforehand, hey, what can you tell me before we start on something new? So we'll always start off with a refresher, and now after this break, we'll go over some questions that I think would be good to know with ASL. So thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Hi everybody, we're back for part 2 for answering questions. So we are going to start with
And we're back, sorry. You were saying, Marcayla.
Alrighty, we're back. We keep losing the connection. But so when you're practicing by yourself, a great way to practice is to actually practice in front of a mirror. Your reflection is to think of it that your reflection is kind of like the other person. So it kind of helps you to make sure that you're doing the signs the correct way. So like, especially if you're watching these videos and trying to make sure your hands are in the right positions, like with the alphabets, making sure that your palm's in the right direction. Great way to make sure that your hands in the right way is in the right position is to actually do it in front of the mirror, because reflection is kind of like the other person you're talking to, and it makes it a lot easier for you to see, hey, am I doing this right? Is my hand in the right position? Is it in the right area? And so it just makes it kind of easier for you to be able to kind of get a perspective outside of yourself and make sure that you're kind of doing it right while watching yourself do the signs. Like you get to see how you're signing it, because when it comes to ASL, it's kind of like a spoken language, where different people have accents. Same thing with ASL. Everybody's gonna have a little bit of a different kind of quote unquote accent when it comes to ASL. It's all gonna be basically the same, but there'll be a little like tiny variations. Like,
is it a matter of being precise with your hand movements?
Yes, you are going to be precise. It is going to be a matter of being very precise about your hand movements and everything. I'm trying to think of, like at my last job when I was working with this guy who was deaf, there was a couple of signs that like they were like, because I originally started learning sign language in Colorado, and then when I moved here to Arizona and started speaking with deaf people here in Arizona, there were a couple of signs that it took me a second to, wait, what are you saying? And then it was like, oh, it's just kind of like Arizona accent, where like
for example, can you recall one off the bat?
And that I was trying to think of one off the bat. A good example was a guest from my last job. He spelled out Wi-Fi, and I'm used to saying internet. The word for internet, which I believe is this. That's either computer. I don't remember if it's computer or internet, but I'm used to the sign for internet, and he said Wi-Fi. What? And it took me kind of a second to be like, hey.
It's the soda versus pop.
Exactly. It is.
So, for example, if you were gonna sign like a soda and pop, is it still the same ASL gesture, or
it is? It is the same gesture in that aspect for soda versus pop. That is the same sign, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Whereas some people say pop, whereas some people say soda.
Right.
Some people say Wi-Fi compared to internet. So It's going to be, I mean, working with somebody, you're going to pick up those minor cues. It's just a matter of figuring them out, basically. I mean,
like how often is ASL used? Like in your day-to-day, how often do you use it? Like,
I personally try to use it as much as possible.
Whether they can hear or not? Or
exactly, whether they can hear or not. I know many people have caught me speaking ASL or signing ASL while I've been physically talking to them, and people are like, what are you doing with your hands? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm speaking my other language right now.
How long have you like spoken in or known ASL?
So I actually started with ASL about 22 years ago.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So it was very basic stuff. It was mostly just finger spelling everything out. So saying the alphabet like A, B, C.
It's a good practice just to get used to at least.
Exactly.
Okay.
And something that always helped me to practice with. Especially with like the alphabet, and even in my later years of kind of learning it, like a few years ago, I had a teacher who said, whenever you see a street sign that says First Street or like Main Street, you finger spell it out so that you're getting your hands.
Oh, it's like training.
It's basically training your hand to not only use the letters, but also the different spellings of things. So,
okay, it's almost so it almost becomes muscle memory of
exactly.
like right now I'm trying to do sign Main Street's MA. Okay, so
Yes.
I practice ahead of me, but okay, that's cool. I did not know that.
So that's a good way to also practice. I mean, aside from doing it in front of the mirror, good way to practice is when you come up across the street sign, to fingerspell it, or if you're reading a title to a book, fingerspell it out.
Okay. Like for example, stop sign, you would just
you would just spell it stops. So
okay. Is there like a like an ASL gesture? Like do you make the octagon shape or
nope? You would just
stop spells.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So you might possibly get made fun of, like or not. I shouldn't say made fun of, but people are gonna probably give you weird looks for practicing ASL
right.
when you're doing that. But it's a good way for the memory to get used to the lettering and stuff, and it just it makes it easier. So, kind of back to the question of how often do you use it in your personal life? I'm personally using it every day, just because I've gotten so much into the muscle memory of automatically signing things when I'm talking, so it helps me to practice.
Right.
Even when I'm talking with a hearing person who does not know sign language.
Because sometimes like the reason why I felt we needed an ASL class was just because there are people in the area who maybe are hard of hearing or who cannot hear. So at least to be able to help them know that you're not alone. I can help you as much as I can.
Exactly. And there's been times that I can't think of a specific time, but there's been a couple times where I've been practicing my ASL, and deaf people have come up and been like,
"Oh, that's cool.
You know sign language?" Yes, I do. I'm like
22 years.
Right.
Okay, so let's say we asked around people to send us some questions, and we kind of came up with a list of our own. In no particular order, for example, let's say just how would we say in ASL, how can I help you?
So before I sign that, I am gonna kind of talk about the word help before I do that question. I am gonna kind of talk about the differences with help, because there's different ways of signing help.
Okay.
And it means different things. So the word help itself is literally just this, but when you're saying that you want to help somebody, you would use that same sign and push your hands towards them, and that's saying help you. Or if you're bringing it towards yourself, you're basically asking help me. Or if you're talking about people, like just people that are not in the conversation, you would say help them or help him or help her. Kind of like make almost like an imaginary area of where somebody's standing, and it means like, hey, I want to help them. Or
is it always right hand? Does it, like, what if you're left-handed or right-handed? How does that factor in ASL?
So that in the form of ASL, that if you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't really affect the sign. Okay. So like, I'm more comfortable with putting my left hand over my right hand, but if you're more comfortable doing it the opposite way, totally fine. Still the same sign. It's just a matter of which hand it is. Trying to think if there's like a specific sign that requires one hand or the other. But at the moment I can't think of anything. Same thing with like the numbers and the alphabet. I'm comfortable with doing it with my right hand, but if you're more comfortable using your left hand to do numbers and like letters, you can do that. But
so just the simple as how can I help you, or you want to assist somebody, is just
yes. So just the word help is this.
Okay.
So when you're asking somebody, how can I help you? It is literally going, how can I help you?
Okay. Can you do it one more time just so we can see it again?
Yes, and I'll do it a little bit a little slower. So the word how is if you do this, and you're basically making your hands kind of like about to grab like a rail or something like that, and then you put them like this where your fingers are touching each other, facing down, and then you basically make a circle with them towards yourself where your fingers start pointing to you, and then you bring them up, and that's how. And then with can, you make the letter A with both hands, and you just act like you're like a motor. I was just about to say kind of like a motorcycle, like you're riding a motorcycle, right. And that's how can. And then you just point to yourself when you say I. There's like kind of older versions of saying I. That's kind of like the new I.
Right. It's a shorthand of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then back to the help sign, and then you push it towards the person you're talking to. If you're asking them, can I how can I help you? You put your finger move your hands towards them to say, hey, how can I help you? Instead of saying help you, it kind of makes it into one sign of just saying help you. So that's how you say how can I help you. Something else I forgot to do kind of in my facial expressions.
Because a lot of ASLs also on the facial expression.
Yes, a lot of ASL uses facial expressions. Just kind of like with a spoken language, the way your voice rises, or the way you set the tone of your voice kind of helps determine if it's like a question or a statement, or I mean, it's not just that, it's also how you use your voice with it.
Right.
Same thing with ASL, except you're not using your voice, because it's not a verbal language, it's a hand gesture language. So basically thinking of your face as your voice.
Right. So happy face, smiling, pleasant face means how can I help you versus how can I help you?
Exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Exactly. So when you're using your hands, it's the words of the language, and then your face is going to be basically the tone of the question or the conversation or whatever that looks like. It's going to kind of set that tone. If you're saying hey, you're kind of using that like, hey, how can I help you? Like you're kind of making it more inviting to
not like I've worked all day and the last thing I want to do, and you're just how can I
exactly.
Okay.
So if you're gonna do kind of a grumpy like, hey, how can I help you? Then obviously somebody's gonna be kind of like, oh, I'm not sure about your help. But if you're like, hey, with the raised eyebrows, a little bit more happy, then obviously it's gonna be a little bit more warm, and welcoming type of thing.
So one more time, a happy how can I help you looks like
how can I help you?
Okay. The next one we wanted to know is just have a good day. How it's simple.
So simple have a good day is going to be have. So you're going to kind of once you're going to not quench like this, but have your thumbs kind of back a little bit, and you're going to put have your fingers touching your chest, and then you don't use words like a or is or stuff like that in sign language. So you say have good. So it's from the chin, and then you bring it down to your other hand, or you can do it this way, whichever way is comfortable for you, and then day.
It's like a clock.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's kind of like a clock.
Is it the sun?
It's actually the sun.
Okay, that's okay.
It's.
I was 41 years old today when I learned that's how you do it. Awesome.
So
Okay.
it's have good day, and it's literally, I mean, it's like this letter D for day, and then it's the sun.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And then it's a combination of things. So
that's cool. Okay.
It's like the letter D for day, but it's also the sun moving across.
Sorry, Mr. Dan's very excited to learn something new today.
Yes.
Okay. So one more time, it's have
a
a good day. Okay.
Exactly.
Awesome. So that is are you lost?
So there's a couple ways to go about that. Physically, actually saying, "Are you lost?" The exact words.
Is that yours?
It's not mine.
Oh, that's sorry, guys.
So, with that, you would say, "You lost you," is like the question of, "Are you lost?"
Okay.
So you would point to the person, and then the word "lost" is kind of like you, it's a V, and then you just bring it down to your other hand, and then you point back at them, and that makes it like a more of a question.
Right.
Because ASL, the construction of their sentences are a little bit different than English, because especially when it comes to, since they don't use like the word "are," they've got to kind of compensate for that. So you're saying you lost you is.
Oh, like, so you point, make the gesture.
Yes,
and then point again.
Point again.
Okay.
So that's the literal kind of translation to it. I usually say something like, "Can I help you find something?" That kind of helps set the tone of like if they're looking for something or if they're just flat out lost. It kind of sets that tone of like trying to figure out what's kind of needed in the situation. Okay. So it would be help you find something is like the best kind of about that.
Okay.
When you're asking somebody if they're lost.
Is a gesture of something, that's a comment, like this means something?
Yes, this means something.
Okay. Oh.
And it just it's kind of a generic thing, like, because you don't always necessarily know, "Oh, I'm looking for this person. Oh, I'm looking for a building. Oh, I'm looking for a street."
Okay.
It kind of coats.
Right.
Kind of helps coat that, so it's just something.
Okay. Which kind of dovetails into, is everything okay?
So, with that, yeah, it does kind of dive into, is everything okay? Once again, that's going to be another one that the exact translation is everything okay. I would personally say, "You okay? You." So it's literally pointing at the person and then spelling out "okay" and then pointing at them again.
Oh, okay.
That kind of, once again.
Okay.
Exactly. So it kind of, it's better to ask "you okay, you" than "is everything okay."
It's more direct and says, "I'm referring to you.
Exactly.
You tell me what you want, how you're feeling."
Exactly. Like, and it's it's also more of like a, "Hey, I'm here, what can I do to help you" type of thing. Whereas kind of, "Is everything okay?" I mean, yeah, it's got a different, like,
when you can't say it, the next thing is just at least the gesture of you, the O, the K, then you.
Exactly.
Okay. And your face tells it also.
Exactly. Once again, like, hey, if you're gonna have kind of that mean face, obviously they're gonna be a little bit more.
Right, but if it's just like,
"Hey, you okay?"
Right.
then
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of the sign language is a very it's different. It's definitely a different community than like
The
hearing community.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's nuanced.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so even though it is very much I'm me, you're you, but together we're here,
Right.
type of thing. It's kind of hard to explain until you kind of get into the community and start practicing more.
But just for the person who just wants to be able just to communicate with their next door neighbor or the guy they see every morning when they get their coffee. Just is like, hey, how's it going?
Exactly.
Okay. Another one I would say is, hello, my name is. You know, because I know that you'd probably, for now, and we're gonna do sign names next month, and you would spell your name in the alphabet. So, hello, my name is. How would you do that in ASL?
So in ASL, when you're saying that, you're gonna say, hello, my name, and then we don't say is. So and then you would just go straight to spelling out your name. So mine is Marcayla. I get a little overexcited sometimes and start spelling it very fast. So some deaf people think I accidentally put an I in there when I don't.
Okay.
Because I get so excited about like finger spelling it because I want to get to my sign name. Once again, like Jan Mark said, we're gonna kind of go more into detail with sign names next time.
Okay. So it's hello, like you're saluting, like
yeah, exactly.
Hello.
It's like a salute.
Okay.
And then you it's my, so make sure palm is at your chest, and then name, so it's gonna be like an, and then tap a couple times, and that's literally hello, my name is.
Okay.
So.
Let's see. We're almost getting done. What do you do for fun? Just to break the ice of, I've met someone who cannot, knows ASL. I just want to ask them, what do you do for fun? What is there a shorthand way of saying that?
While you were talking, I was trying to think of a kind of a shortened way of saying it, and nothing's coming to mind, so I'll just kind of say it like the long way. I know that there's a shorter way to say it, but it's not coming to mind at the moment.
We can do it next month.
Yeah, we can do it next month.
We'll add it to the list.
Exactly. So, what is literally, you have your hands and you act like you're holding like a tray or something.
Okay.
Like do this, like you're almost like you're shaking it a little bit,
okay,
or shaking the contents on it, and then do. So it's literally you've got your pointer and your thumb, and you're pointing them up, and then you pinch them like almost like crab fingers.
Right.
And then 4. So you've got the like the letter D, and you point it like this, to your temple, and then turn it as you're bringing it out in front of you.
And so you show palm.
Exactly. So then you show palm to the person and then so it's what do you?
Oh, point. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you do for fun? And so it's what helps me remember what the sign for fun is like roller coaster. A lot of people think that roller coasters are fun, so it's like you're starting at the top of the roller coaster with your 2 fingers on your nose, and then you're bringing it down to the bottom of the roller coaster.
The other hand has to be there.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's kind of like what do you do for fun?
Okay. So what do you do for fun? Okay.
Exactly. And of course, once again, facial expressions. This is expressions.
Okay.
So if you see me doing that, that means facial expressions. So.
Okay.
Other questions?
two that I think are definitely good to know is like, how do I tell somebody I know? Because right now that's what it is. I know a little sign. Do you say I know a little sign, or do you say I know a little ASL?
I generally ASL just because it's a lot easier.
Okay.
It's more common. When you say, I mean, you can do sign language.
I know it's slang. But...
ASL is kind of more of a slang thing. If you're wanting to be more formal about it, you can say like when you're saying it out instead of just doing the abbreviation. You don't really put the American in there. It's just sign language.
Okay, so.
But I mean, once again, that's kind of a little bit more formal. So you usually do just ASL. You just fingerspell ASL.
Okay.
Make it kind of quick and fast, and so that kind of shorten it down a little bit as well. And
so let's say that just the nitty gritty. Tell someone no. I know ASL.
So if you're, once again, there's a couple ways to do it. You can say, like, I am learning ASL.
That's a better one, yes.
That's a better way to go about it, but it still lets the deaf person know that
it might be a little rough, but I'm trying.
But I at least know a little bit of it, so you might have to go slow with me.
Right. Okay. So that's the one. Then that's the one that I'm learning ASL would be.
So you would.
Everybody at home, pay attention because this is the one you're gonna want to know this one.
Exactly. So there's a couple ways to do it. You can say I.
Okay.
Learn.
Up like to touch the forehead. So
it's like this is a book.
Okay.
And the knowledge from the book is going up to your brain.
Sorry guys, Mr. Jen's very excited about this. So point to me. I'm learning A. Okay. A. L. Okay.
So that kind of gives them the precursor that I do know a little bit.
They're going to take it slow with us because like, all right, I get it.
Exactly.
You're trying.
Exactly. So because the community, I say the community, and that refers to the deaf community.
Right.
They're not too thrilled about hearing people doing sign language because they generally don't do it well unless they're like, especially if they're not practicing that much, so they get really irritated. But if you put that precursor that, hey, I'm learning, I'm trying, then they're a lot more open about doing it slow and realizing that that yours is going to be choppy.
Right.
Especially at first.
Like with learning any new language, It's choppy, it's rough.
Exactly.
Like when I speak Spanish, it's all in the present tense. I forgot how to conjugate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. It's kind of the same way. Having besides English and ASL, I've got 2 other languages under my belt.
Which are what?
Spanish and French.
Okay.
And I've noticed when the choppiness with Spanish or French comes out, when it's the first language for other people,
right?
They get mad, but they're a lot less mad than the deaf community.
Okay.
Even when you're telling them, hey,
right,
I'm still learning, but it still kind of opens up that realm of saying, kind of that wall that they put up of, like, it brings it down and it's like, okay, I can't be mad at this person.
Right. It's trying. So again, guys, it's point yourselves. So I learning ASL. And I will work on my alphabet because it's going to be a bit, but okay.
Yes, and that's, I mean, once again, the deaf community hates when things are being spelt out, but they'd much rather have you spell things out because it's showing that you're at least trying to learn their language.
Right.
Rather than writing down or, hey, I can't understand you.
Right. So what is that gesture?
This is understand. So it's like a light bulb coming on. Yes.
Guys, come on. This is amazing. Things is just now you know. This is understand.
Yes.
Okay.
So even saying, hey, understand means that, hey, you're understanding what they're saying.
Okay. I guess because we're almost out of time. Just to end with, can you show us one more time? How can I help you?
So, how can I help you?
Okay.
You don't always necessarily put the I in there because with sign language, when you're signing, it's almost like they already kind of know it's like an extension of you, so you don't really necessarily have to say I.
But for now, if you're just learning and you just want to at least get your point across to somebody.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
How can I help you? And is everything okay would be you. Okay.
Okay. You.
Okay.
And once again, facial expressions, especially with questions like that.
Right.
Making sure that, hey, I'm here to listen. I'm
right.
not gonna. I don't have a basically bad mood. I'm not gonna.
Right. And probably the one, and we'll end with this, is the one that just say, I'm I'm learning ASL is I'm learning ASL. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. That was really amazing. So, guys, thank you for watching and our Teen Zone ASL. It's all ages, but hey, for all you teens out there, and you know, it's summertime. You want, and if you want to learn something new, come back again. We'll see you next month. But thank you, Marcayla, for teaching us some ASL, and we look forward to next month, and we'll have some new things to go over. And we will see you soon. Everybody, be safe, and see you soon. All right, thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.